Hey, business building warrior, welcome to the weekend update. If you're listening to this episode right when it came out, it's Saturday. And what we like to do on Saturdays is still work. A lot of us work 6 days and rest one. Hey, good enough for God, good enough for us. That's the way He created the whole universe, right? So we're working on a Saturday, sure, but why not take along a great update, a podcast episode that we've gone back and reviewed from maybe 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months ago. We've got hundreds of great interviews. So what we do on the weekends is we go back, we find those great episodes that maybe slipped past your radar, or some of those great insights and tips and strategies from some of the successful students, and just kind of break it down into little easily digested nuggets for your weekend update. So that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to dive into that in just a moment after I make a couple of announcements. First, if you haven't got a free copy yet of the brand new, all new, our 11th update of the Silent Sales Machine book. This is the book that started this podcast. It started our community, the 73,000 members of our free Facebook group, our incredible events. It all started because I sat down about 20 years ago and wrote a book over a weekend. It was actually just a PDF report at the time, and it took off. And it started this incredible movement that is now thousands of business building warriors all over the world. It wasn't because of anything that I did. I was just making some observations and sharing what others had taught me. I kind of compiled the information into one place with the premise of, hey, you can use the internet to grow the business of your dreams. And here's the rules I'm kind of discovering. Here's some of the things you should avoid, I was discovering. And there's a group of us, we just kind of compiled this information and kept learning new things. Well, I've updated it, and the 11th update is now available. All the stuff you should avoid, the legitimate opportunities that are available to you, the mindset that's required in order to tackle these opportunities, a lot of very specific strategic advice on using the internet to launch and grow the business of your dreams, multiple income streams, using the internet creatively. That's the book. So go to silentsalesmachine.com and you can see more about it. Or you can text the word free, that's FREE, to this phone number. It'll be in the show notes as well today. The phone number is 507 800 0090. Now, if you happen to live outside the United States or Canada, that might not work for you. So just email our support team. There's a link at silentjim.com and say, hey, I heard Jim make that free offer. Assuming the free offer is still around, which it will expire at some point. But now, as we're launching the book, we wanted to give it away for free. That's a great opportunity for you. So there's that. And I also want to remind you, if you're new around here, this podcast is the supporting podcast for the leading Amazon seller training in the industry. I'm talking about the Proven Amazon course at provenamazoncourse.com. It's the longest running Amazon seller training in the industry, with more success stories than any other, a bigger support team. There's about 100 of us that support that course. All kinds of creative modules for every level of Amazon seller experience. If you know nothing about Amazon, you know nothing about e-commerce, we got you. If you've already got a $50,000, $100,000, $1 million a month business, there's ideas in there I guarantee you have never been exposed to that could improve your business. So for $39 a month, provenamazoncourse.com gets you a library of content that grows with you. We believe in just-in-time education, which means right when you need it, we got that next thing that you need, and it's in there. And then we've got our free Facebook group support community at silentjim.com that's there to help you as well if you want to check that out. So that's the introduction for this weekend update. Let's go find out what the team has put together for us today. Enjoy this episode. We'll have brand new episodes for you starting at the beginning of the week, so don't miss those. Hey, have a great weekend. God bless you, warrior. Let's jump into the content. So, Cynthia, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio.
Thanks for having me.
It's truly a pleasure. I can't wait to get to know you. We've only spoken a couple minutes, and so I'm eager to dive into your story. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
All righty. So in 2020, I was looking for a way to make additional income or just stay home. A lot of things were going on in 2020. Of course, we had COVID, but also my family took a major hit. We lost my husband in 2020 as well.
I'm so
So,
sorry. That's the year we
um,
lost my dad, which isn't the same kind of loss, but man, what a challenging. I think we're all still in recovery from that year. And I'm so sorry as well, like I
thank
mentioned
you.
before. But tragic loss. And just to see you
Yes,
here rebounding and thinking forward focused as now a single mom.
God's grace.
I mean, if we stop the podcast right there, you're laughing, you're
Yeah,
smiling, you talk about finding new streams of income and you're moving forward. God bless you. I
it's
mean,
okay.
you got a story I could love already.
Yes. So he passed away in April of 2020. It was right at the height, right when everything shutting down and all of
Ah,
that. And we have three little people.
mm,
And it was just, oh my goodness, it just, after the shock wore off, it was just a lot. So
mhm.
fast forward, I was kind of since we were all shut in, I was kind of trying to, I think, distract myself from being mom to three little people, trying to stay, not to go down into a deep grief and just trying to keep my head above water, as they say. And one of the things that I was focusing on is just, I've always been business minded. It hasn't been in my background as far as family and all of that, but I've always had this, just that in me. It just was God given to just be business minded, to want more than what's in front of me or around me. And so I was following a guy on YouTube, and he was in Germany, and he was doing this Amazon arbitrage. Now I know it was RA that he was doing. I had no clue what he was doing then, but it was just, again, a distraction for me. And also because I'm business minded, I was kind of interested in his story. He was just posting on YouTube. He was doing books, and he was just going through his daily routines and all of that. And I took an interest in his story. And so I would follow him. But as time went on, and I settled into my grief, I settled into, okay, my husband is really not coming back. I just went down. And I stopped watching YouTube. I stopped going after. I didn't have any desire to go after those things that meant something to me, or yeah. So I just went down. I owned a hair studio. I tried to go back to my hair studio, and I opened up a little bit, and I just couldn't keep it up. So I ended up closing my hair studio, my business, and all that. Just everything stopped. I just went completely down. And my focus was just the kids. That's all I was focusing on. Let's keep these kids thriving, da da da. All the while I'm going down. So that's how I got into e-com. That's how I kind of like, okay, this e-commerce. I never heard of it. So it wasn't in my background at all. I found out about it from the guy in Germany, which is originally from, I'm in Michigan. He's actually originally from here. And he was just doing RA, going with the books. And then there was one episode I remember where he got a hold of some kind of hot Cheetos or something like that. It was a Lady Gaga something. It was some kind of character with it, and it just blew up. And he just got hundreds of it. And I was just so amazed. Like, look at this man just running around and all of this, but he was making money from it. So that's how I got into it. But again, I just didn't stay in that vein to
Yeah.
pursue it
Yeah.
because I just didn't have it
And
in. The more I
understandably
settled,
so.
yeah,
I mean, three young kids, lost your husband, COVID, which even if you didn't suffer a major loss, that was a brutal year for so many people and so many
brutal. Oh
businesses
my goodness.
closing and, just best friends turning on each other because you're not wearing the right kind of mask. It's like, what? We're not friends anymore over that. Like it was crazy.
Yes.
And I still feel
Yes.
like we're kind
Yes.
of in recovery mode. A lot of
We are.
relationships were damaged and everyone
Ooh,
lost something. And
yes.
but man, here you are. You're on the podcast because you're making
It's
some
amazing.
progress. You're doing some stuff. I mean, you're starting to swing out of this. And I think, as valuable as our business content is, I think it's that human element of real people who are facing real challenges and real struggles, and people can kind of put themselves in your shoes and go, well, okay, I got beat up in 2020, but I didn't lose my spouse, right? Or,
Yeah.
they can like, look what Cynthia's doing. Okay, she pulled out of it. Maybe they're in that dark place, So I think you're going to give people a lot of hope. I mean, again, if we stop the episode right now, it's just your countenance, your demeanor, the way you're speaking about these things. It's obvious you're on the uphill swing.
Yes.
And you're going to have
Very
your rough
grateful.
days too. I mean, my mom
Oh,
lost her husband, my dad, in 2020. So I know what she's like. There's days where she just can't. So she doesn't.
I can't.
Right?
Yep.
But her kids aren't kids anymore. She's got me.
Okay. Yes. Totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different. And my babies are dependent on me. I have, at the time I lost my husband, my youngest was 1. The second one, he had just turned 3, and the oldest was 5. So it was just a lot. It was just a lot. And you bring up my continence and all. That's just the grace. It's really the grace of God that I'm able to have any kind of smile, any kind of if you see happiness, if you see it is His grace that has allowed me to, as you say, I'm on the upswing. Yeah. Because I was down for so long. And I was down for a good 3 years, honestly. Mm-hmm. And now, mind you, just because of how He created me and just my background, the type of family that I have, my grandmother, my mother, and all of that, we are hard workers. We know how to still move even when everything around you is falling apart. So
you come from a heritage of resilience. You inherited that.
There you go. I'm telling you. And I have a love and hate relationship with it, honestly.
Oh, sure. I know exactly what you talk about.
Oh my goodness.
Even when I'm down, I can't turn it off. I feel responsible for family, for the name that I carry, people that came before me and what they went through. That's nothing. I mean, we haven't gone through anything compared to the greatest generation, I've got some heroes in my family. We dive into stories like that was when life was really, really hard, right? So I got to carry that. I've got a legacy, and I can detect that even in what you're sharing now, that like I'm doing it for them. Here's how they would have done it. I'm going to do it at least with that much effort and determination, resilience. Yeah, that's a word I've got for you right now in my head.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So, like I said, I was down. I was moving and kept it going, but I was not operating at 100%. I wasn't operating I'm pretty sure I wasn't operating at 50%. So, but being the mom that I am, my focus was just, for a while there, it was just the kids. And sometimes you need something in front of you to keep you going, because sometimes you're not even thinking about going for yourself. So for a while, it was just the kids. Continue to pour into the kids, make sure they're fine. And as time went on, I began to live a little bit more and more forward for myself. And so fast forward, that was 2020. And mind you, all this time, and you just have to know me to the business type of mindset that I have. And, I'm a go-getter. Obviously. I like to accomplish my goals. I'm a task, right? So, I'm strategic. I'm all of that. And when I'm not able to operate as myself, it just brought me even more down. And so for 3 years, I was praying just for an opportunity to pursue and just to, get back to myself, because that brought me down even more, that I couldn't be. I had a thought, I have a business, an idea, and I couldn't pursue it.
You got that type A personality eating away at you over here. Like, what did we achieve today? We didn't achieve anything except feeding the kids. That's not good enough, right? Like, there's plenty of people that are like, hey, that was good enough. But you and I, type A person, that's not good enough. When we're down, we become our own worst enemy when we're down, because we're beating ourselves up on top of being down, right? Like, that's a personality trait. Not everyone has it. And, it can be a beautiful thing too, because that can be what pulls us out. Sometimes, right? That little voice.
Yes. But I'm grateful that during that whole time I had my therapist, and I'm just grateful that the Lord just really used her to speak to me. And one of the things that she just consistently reminded me of is to give myself grace. Now, believe it or not, people grew up hearing that a lot. I just never did. And I grew up in the church. Believe it or not, that's the crazy part when I think about it. I've always was taught and learned and even told others, give others grace, be kind to others, show grace. Mm-hmm. But you have to learn to be kind to yourself, to show yourself grace and all of that. And so I instill that into my little people now. They'll tell you in a minute that I'm going to give myself grace because it's important. Just like you said, if you know yourself, and you're so hard on yourself, and I am. But just that, especially during that 3 year time, because it was like forever. It
Mhm.
felt like forever to know, give yourself grace. And so I began to practice that more and more. And I'm going to take that into my grave to just give myself grace.
Yeah.
So,
Appreciating the seasons of life too is something I think
yes,
goes to that, right? Like, are you in a season right now of growth, or are you in a season of recovering, or are you in a
yes,
season of loss, which will be
yeah,
followed by a season of recovery and then growing, right? Like life just kind of comes with, and you got to learn to recognize the season you're in. And
you do.
we're not always in a season of growth. Growth is the goal, and we'll get there
Yeah,
eventually. We don't want to lose sight of that. As you know, one of the preachers I heard talking about this said, you're going to get knocked down. When you get knocked
no,
down, try to land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up eventually.
yes, yes, yep,
Right?
yep,
It's
yep,
like, but there's stages there. You got knocked down. That
yes,
hurts. You're going to be there for a minute. Get up as soon as you can.
yes,
You're looking up, looking
yep,
ahead. What are you putting in your head in those moments?
yes,
That
yes.
matters. Who are you listening to? That therapist saying, give yourself some grace. You're doing great. Look
Hmm.
at you. You've got these kids and they're doing great. Well done. Right. But we beat
Yes,
ourselves. I can totally relate. I think we've got a
yes, yes.
similar. I think if we took like a disc profile or those profile tests, we'd be like,
Hmm.
yeah, they're the same person. So far, I'm
Yeah.
just like, I'm resonating with everything you're saying. Hopefully, we're not
Hmm.
losing anybody else as we're having fun, Cynthia. But uh,
I hope not. I
I'm
hope not.
truly loving your story. I have a feeling a lot of other people are too. And let me just share something with you. This might be meaningful to you. This is something I've been kicking around in my head, and this might be meaningful for what you've just described. And we'll get back to your business story in a moment. But, we just went through a series at our church on the Beatitudes. And I'd never noticed this before,
Mm,
but there's a progression there. And if you haven't read them, you can go look them up. In the story of Jesus, given the examples, blessed are the poor in spirit, he starts there and he
yep,
goes all the way through. There's a progression there that's
it
not
is.
unlike the progression of recovery for people who are addicts or who have gotten
Mm,
into some kind of serious, any kind of addiction, or
yes.
loving somebody who's caught in addiction. There's a progression, like Alcoholics Anonymous, even a very non-scriptural based, they talk about their higher power, then you get the Christian programs but the progression there is, uh, I'm, I'm useless where I'm at. I'm
Yes.
poor in spirit. I'm broken. I can't help myself. I'm down. I've been crushed. I've hit bottom, whatever it is. And there's a progression out of that. But what's beautiful that I'm wanting to observe with you right now that you may not recognize yet in this moment is, what the final stage is? You look at all the Beatitudes, you look at the progression going through a recovery program like Alcoholics Anonymous, if you're familiar with it. Do you know what that last step in all of them is?
Hmm.
Do you know where I'm headed? We take a stab at
No,
it?
I don't. I don't.
Because I'm going to tell you, it's what you're doing right now. It's stepping up and saying, hey, everybody, this is what I just went through. I'm not perfect by any
Mm,
means,
hmm.
but I'm believing God to use me to help others get through what I just went through.
Mm.
Because you could not have done this 2 years ago.
Oh no.
You could not have done what you're doing right now a year ago, right?
Oh no.
So
Oh
the
no.
progression of getting from flat on your back to flipping over to where you can at least
Mm,
look up, to standing up, to looking around and noticing, hey, there's some other people laying flat on their back or flat on their face. I need to speak to them. That's the progression. And you step into that leadership role. That's the
hmm.
last step. Like in Alcoholics Anonymous, the last step is you start sharing your journey with others and helping them finish
Mm,
or progress through their
hmm.
recovery journey, right? My mom
Yes.
went to Celebrate Recovery, which is like a Christian Alcoholics Anonymous, but same thing there.
Hmm.
Like that's how you know when you're back on track is you're standing
Mm.
upright. You're not
And
perfect,
now you're giving to others.
but
Okay.
you start
Yeah.
bringing others along on the journey. And that's
Mm.
the Beatitudes, that's Alcoholics Anonymous, that's Celebrate Recovery, that's all of those programs. And that's what we do
Yes.
here too. We have people come in and like, we're struggling, dude. Our marriage is rough because our finances are rough, which makes everything else rough. And then we turn those people into success stories and then leaders who share
Hmm.
the story. And we don't say they've arrived; they're still facing challenges,
Oh no.
but they're starting to
Yes.
share with others. So, did you appreciate? Does
Yes.
that help you a little bit? Like of or
Yes. Yes.
what I'm recognizing in you today.
Hmm. Yes. Most definitely, it does
So
help.
well done,
And yeah.
well done. That's all I'm trying to say. I took way too long to say it.
Yes. And I'm grateful that just like Ecclesiastes said, there's a time for everything. And
Yes.
so wherever you are, just like you were saying, wherever you are, just know that this is not the end. This is not it. This is just a moment, a season, just like you said. And so, but sometimes it's so hard when you're there to turn around, as you said, and look up. But yes, but if you can turn around, just like you said, you can look up and, okay, I see some help. I see my help. I can receive it. So yes, that did help. At this stage, I am more mindful and of what I'm capable of and what I'm not capable of, and just being okay with that. You
Yeah.
know, you can save that for another day. You
Yeah.
know, you need to rest. You did a lot yesterday. Rest for a little. So yes, and plus, since it's just me with the kids, I have to be available for them and all of that. There are little people
Yep.
there. It's a lot.
Yep.
So yes, so I definitely am more balanced with that versus in the beginning. So for 3 years, with the fog and all of that, I was praying for an opportunity to come along and going through some different things, reading, listening to different stuff, and just, no, not that. No, not that. And where are we? We are 2023. Okay. So in 2022, probably around December or so, it came back to my remembrance the guy that I was following in 2020
Our
on
Cheetos
YouTube.
guy. Yeah.
Yes. And so I said, let me see if he is back on, let's see if he's still on YouTube. And I came to him because I am a part of this. It's like a mentorship, a business type of, or group. It could be like a mastermind. I guess you could describe it as that. It's a paid group that I've been a part of for a while. And so it presents different business ideas and different speakers and stuff like that to the audience, and just to get you to pique your interest and just put more things in front of you that you might not have the opportunity if unless you were a part of that group. And so one of the things the guy was talking about his Amazon business, and so it piqued my interest back with Amazon. And so that's what caused me to say, I wonder if the guy from 2020 is still on YouTube. And so I went to look him up and he was still there. But at this point, he had progressed so much that he was not doing books anymore and he was making thousands a month. And now he was showing you how to do it. And so I was interested. I said, now, I hope this is not another scam, how people are out here asking for money and da da da. And so I prayed about it. I hesitated. And I said, Cynthia, we're going to make a decision. So I made a decision. I reached out to him and I said, I'm interested in learning more about this Amazon. And so when we talked over the Zoom, I just told him flat out, this is how I am. I'm not looking to waste my time. I don't want to waste your time. But I am looking to learn. I'm very strategic. This is how I learn. Is this something that you, and he said, yes, that's how I am as well. So I think we'll do good. His program was for 4 weeks, and we met once a week with him via Zoom, and he, for I think an hour or two, I can't remember, and he just walked you from A to Z. I needed that at that point just because I was still struggling, but my mental was coming back to me a little. That fog was lifting. And so I needed that hand holding. So around a week, 2 or so, I couldn't get a hold of him. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm trying to take off. I'm trying to learn more and I'm sending products in now, and I couldn't get a hold of him. And so I said, I'm not going to let this stop me. I don't want to just have access to one person. And so if something happened to them, then that's it. So I said, I'm not going to let this stop me. And I went to my Apple podcast and I just typed in there Amazon FBA. I can't really remember. Or I think I typed in replans, something like that, because that's the model that he was teaching as well, replans.
Mm-hmm.
And I passed by all of these. Nope, looks like you're trying to get my money. Nope, this one look like nope, nope. And I came across Silent Sales Machine podcast, and I said, and I pushed play, and I listened to you talk, and I said, he sounds like someone who is not just out to sign up just another person, a part of another program, but he really is interested in you learning. He has a whole system. I love the system that you have built. I think it's so brilliant. It's so brilliant.
On behalf of the team of about 90 people who have contributed, thank you.
Yes.
And I'm not the smartest guy in the room very often on any of it either.
Okay.
I mean, we got some good people.
exactly. You can bring them all together. You don't have to
Mhm.
be the smartest. So that's how I came across Silent Sales Machine. And I said, okay, I'm listening. And then I went from one podcast to the next podcast to the next podcast. I went back in 2018, 2020, listening
Wow.
to some things. Yes.
I had no
And
idea. That's awesome. So when we were
I
talking
listened
during the
to, oh, yeah.
pre-show notes, you were like, "I know all that already, Jim," because I was telling you how it's going to go. You're like, "You've listened to a bunch of
Yeah.
this show."
Yes, yes,
That's
yes.
great.
Yes, I like to do, my research. I wanted to listen to what the people were doing in 2020, before then and now, and what the changes are. Has
Mhm.
the business changed? Has the way you talk
Mhm.
about the business changed? So I wanted to, get that together, and it has been consistent. What
Yeah.
you have
Well,
talked, what you it has been consistent
make some
for many years.
observations. I mean, you've listened to the older version of me a lot more than I have. I don't go back and listen to 2020 episodes or 2019 or
Hmm.
any of that. Like I haven't listened to those since we made them, since I
Hmm.
spoke them. I don't go back and listen to them. So, what stands out to you, if anything? Like, what has changed? Is there any observations or questions you have based on that kind of longitudinal vantage point that you now have of what? Because I've been doing this for 20 years. We've been on Amazon for
Hmm.
12. The whole replens concept started out of this community, and there's several places now people are talking about it, and that's great. It's a blue ocean opportunity. But what observations do you have as someone who's gone back and kind of listened to, if there's
Just
anything?
it's been consistent. Yeah, it's been
Mhm.
consistent.
That's good to hear.
It's it's pretty evident that you believe what you preach, right? It's pretty evident because
100%.
there has not been any deviation from what you have stated then to now. Of course, you get a little bit smoother with your processes, and more people come in, some people leave, and you just keep
Mhm.
it moving. But it's the consistency that stands out now. I would encourage people to not only just focus on the 2023 and 2022. Of course, now Amazon is forever changing, so I definitely wouldn't listen to.
Stay up to date.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes, stay up to date, but some of the stories from the people and just the gems that you can just find in some of those episodes, I would encourage. Don't just focus on today. Go back,
There's
go
some
back and listen.
there are some people that came in that stumbled into this group and didn't know what they were doing, broke, and now they're household brands.
Hmm.
What? We got to
Yeah.
get that person back because the story just keeps getting better and better. Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this since 2016, and here we are, summer of 2023. With over 600 episodes, I'm blown away. Sometimes I'll scroll back and I'm like, oh, I got to touch base with that guy. I wonder what he's up to.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah, I don't
blows
know
me
how you
away.
keep up with it. Yeah.
You got to have a team.
You
It's
do.
the skill set I'm developing now is, team delegation.
Mm, yes,
Who are
yes.
those people that I can truly pour into? If you can't pour into more, well, Jesus himself poured into 12 and
Mhm,
capped it off. He didn't have
mhm.
800 people that he was like,
A sea of people,
he
right?
traveled with a handful, right?
Yes.
And so, who are we to think that we could really truly pour into more people? So I've got
Hmm.
my handful, and we do this as a team. And this goes out to many, many listeners. And I'll have people come up to me and they feel like they really know me, and they do. I mean, this is me. This is what I'm like. My wife and
Hmm.
kids are like, yeah, it's the same guy. Can't
This
turn him
is.
off. Always talking about Amazon or Bitcoin or something. There's some stuff that I don't bring onto the podcast, but it's me.
Hmm.
If I don't know what I'm talking about, I keep my mouth shut. So the stuff I believe in, I do share. So I share from the heart. But it's we're building a lot of relationships with a lot of people because we've got a team of 100 of us now in the coaching program and the people in our Facebook group. 73,000 people. The true
Yeah,
relationships that are forming there. It's something
amazing.
special, and I feel
It
like I'm along
is.
for the ride. I'm just
Yeah,
along for the ride.
right.
I really am. I'm not controlling
You
this
said,
thing any more than anyone
yeah,
else is. It's just a community of really good people. And
yeah, and that's awesome, 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 awesome. And you're growing as well as with the community, so that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, my leadership and there's new levels of humility to be found around every corner as a leader these days.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm amazed. I'm amazed. So that's how I came across your group,
I
and
love it.
I went on ahead and I looked through the notes, and it said you could sign in to the Facebook group. So I sent that request, and I just jumped in. I signed up for the pack, to be a pack student, and oh my goodness, like for someone like me, now mind you, it could be overload for some other people because it is a lot. It is packed with so much.
Yeah.
And so I would tell whoever wants to listen to me that, it's a lot. It's gems all through that pack.
Yeah.
Through the pack course. Okay. And so again, it's one of those things. Don't just focus on what you see that's 20, this year, but there's so much stuff I've even listened to, and I'm still listening to some of the conferences from 2021 and 22 and 20. So, oh my goodness,
it's a library.
I'm having a ball for someone
That's
like me.
Awesome. Yeah.
For someone like me
with that learning style. And I'm the same way. I don't care if you're giving it to me as an audio, if I got to read a PDF, if I got to watch a video, I don't care. I consume content.
I just want access to it. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Just give me the access to it.
Some people want a relationship and a handhold. And we've got coaching, and that's great. And some people say, I don't want to pay a dime, but teach me all you know. All right. That's what the podcast is. You listen to 30 or 40 podcasts, but we've had plenty of people come up to me and say, Jim, I've never paid a dime to your organization, but I've built a beautiful business just by listening to the podcast. And they almost have an apologetic tone. I'm like, no, that's beautiful. That's what we do. What we do. That's awesome. At some point, you'll contribute in some way. You'll be in there answering questions, or maybe you'll create some content. We'll benefit from having helped you along the way. We're not worried about that. But the courses, it's a library. The Proven Amazon course, we call it the PAC affectionately, as Cynthia's pointed out. ProvenAmazonCourse.com. It is a library of all strategies that we're aware of, done with excellence for making money on Amazon. So if you go in there, because the question that tells me that people haven't really caught on yet to what the Proven Amazon course is, they'll say, well, how long is it going to take me to take the Proven Amazon course? I'm like, you got about 30 years.
Right.
By the time it's kind of like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. Have you heard they go from one end to the other and they paint it, and as soon as they're done, they come back the other way. Like, that's how the Proven Amazon course is. There's always new stuff being added, old stuff being purged. It's a journey. It's what you need to know next when you need it. You're never going to consume all of it. It's a library. It's constantly being updated.
Yeah. And I'm amazed again, like I said, and I love it. I love it. I love the opportunity to learn at my own pace. Just like you said, I'm more of the type that once you give it to me, I'm going to run. Right. I'm going to learn it. I'll come back with some questions if I can, but I'll take off and run. And so I think that the PAC course is great for, various personality types, someone like mine, and also someone who, may need, again, more time. You might have that coaching session with someone, and then you may say, okay, I need a little bit more. Now that I hear from my coaching session, now let me go step by step within the PAC course. So I love it. And I'm just making my way through as you learn a little bit more as you go on. I'm 4 months in now. And so now my focus is, okay, I'm looking at the OA Simplified. Okay, let me go over here to Rich Potter. I want to learn about wholesale, and I want to learn because I'm doing all FBA. And so I want to learn how to do FBM if I ever wanted to do FBM. It's the time that's good to do FBS. So I want to learn. So it's a lot, and you can be overwhelmed, but I'm just working my way through the sections. I'm loving it. So
that's
I
awesome.
Definitely would recommend it. And especially at the price point, like, it's a no-brainer for me. It really is. It's a no-brainer. Like,
we've kept it very inexpensive. We often joke on the leadership team around here, like, it's got to be pretty painful to try to compete with us. It's like, we have the best content at the cheapest price. Like,
exactly.
How do you compete with that?
It's like getting on a listing with Amazon, right? Amazon is going to have the lowest price, right? So it's
great analogy.
Yes.
How is your business doing? Let's get into yours. Like, we're only 4 months in.
We're 4 months in to what's today? Today is the 7th. So technically I started in February. So that was February 8th. So actually tomorrow will be at the end of my 4 months. So I just hit 50,000 in sales a couple of days ago. So that's great.
Tremendous. Cynthia, you've got 3 young kids. You've just gone through the hardest emotional period of your life, unless there's other things I don't know. I don't know your full story, but I'm assuming it sounds like it was. You're kind of doing it alone as far as the business goes. right?
Oh, yeah.
You've got the community, you've got the proven Amazon course. That's all you needed. And you've run and you've sold $50,000 of product online. With, correct me if I'm wrong, no past e-commerce experience. Did you?
No past e-commerce experience at all. At all.
That is
Yeah.
incredible. I don't know if you've listened to any of the past episodes where I've had single moms on, but
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
I am blown away. You guys are freaking amazing. I could not do that. I would just be curled up in a
It's
corner
a
waiting for
lot.
somebody to give me some free stuff to help me get through another month. Like, how do you do that? I'm honestly blown away and inspired.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm trying to learn how to celebrate those wins like Robin and Brian was talking about
A
on
recent
the
episode.
as far as
Celebrating those little
celebrating, right?
moments. I need those reminders too, by the way.
I'm telling you, because me, I'm like, okay, I hit that, on to the next.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
doesn't matter.
pause.
Yeah. Take a deep breath, enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving
Yeah.
on now.
And let's
Like,
go.
that's not a
Exactly.
celebration. And you
It's not.
and just this is something you and I both need to hear. You know, you look at the Jewish calendar, the Hebrew calendar,
Mm-hmm.
the month of September, you just got to take it off. It's like so many celebrations going on, and they had to, right? Like these were commandments. You will celebrate. You will, because celebrate is remember, right? It's remembering, like, where were we? And we went from there to here. And that's pretty awesome with God's help. And now we got to remember and recognize and make sure we have a chance to show our kids that we're recognizing and remembering by celebrating.
Yes.
Right? And one of the new episodes, it's not quite out yet, it's coming soon, is, you know, a dad is like, he drew this little chart and his kids are keeping track of their sales and as a family, and the kids are helping prep and pack and do the business with him. And when we hit this level, guys, we're going to a theme park. We're going to celebrate and remember.
Okay.
Right. So we're going to remember by celebrating. So it's not just about, take a day off because we earned it. No, it's about remembering what we've been through and just drilling that home. So the next time we're flat on our back, we can remember.
I like it. Yeah, that's a good way to, yes. Now that would help.
And you and I need to hear that. Some people celebrate everything. Like,
yeah, right.
You know, my wife's personality, it's like, yeah, let's celebrate. It's been a while since we celebrated. Let's just celebrate something. I don't care. Let's have everybody over and celebrate. No problem with her doing that. The I think those are the I's on the disc profile. If you've ever done those personality profiles, right? Like, you know, we're the driven, no, what are we going to conquer next type person.
Yeah. I'm working on that though. I really am. And you're right. We do need those reminders.
I do as well.
And we do need those people around us that are not like us, right? It's okay. Yes.
100%.
Let's celebrate.
I don't want to marry someone like me. That'd be miserable.
Okay. So yes, I hit 50K. And what is really important to me, I don't know, from the beginning, I've never had a number in mind hit. Never. The only number I have in mind to hit is what I want a net profit. That's the number that I had in mind from day one. I never said, I want to go to 10K sales or 20K. I've never said that. I just took off because I want a certain net profit as far as providing for my family, making sure that we're okay and I can, the freedom, the flexibility, that's what I'm looking for. And so that's always been at the forefront of my mind. So when I do hit a 50K and all that, I'm like, great, but let me see what my profit let me see what my profit was.
Oh, yeah. That's what really matters is your net profit.
Yeah. So now, mind you, with the 50K and all of that, now, of course, that's good, especially when you go for funding and you have to submit 3 months of bank statements and all of that. Of course, that works in your favor. But yeah, one of the things about the 50K as well was I was just more excited that this month I hit my top net profit and I had my highest sales day this in my 4th month as well. And I'm so glad I did not give up. It is a lot, right? And I remember on, I don't know if it was a podcast I was listening to you talk on or it was a post. I think it was a podcast. And I have it written down in my little office space. And you were saying, and you can correct me because I know I might have it off a little. You were saying for the first couple of zeros or something like that, it's hustle. The next level is strategy. And then the next level is teamwork. And I just keep that before me. Like when I'm like, oh my goodness, I know what. Okay, hustle. That's okay because we're going to the strategy, and then we're going to go to the teamwork, Cynthia. So I don't want to ship another. Nope, come on. So
Hey, we'll get back to the show in just a second, but I've got to tell you about a great sponsor who's just joined us. I'm talking about Seller Board. This is a very popular service used by many Amazon sellers in our community because they understand how important it is, how crucial it is to know your numbers. How do you know how profitable you are? All those fees, the different expenses, the cost of goods sold. How do you track it all? Seller Board is phenomenal. Starting as low as just $15 a month with a 2-month trial on top of that. You really need to check these guys out. Get over to silentjim.com/numbers. Again, silentjim.com/numbers. It's time to know your numbers. It's an accurate profit analytics software tool just for Amazon sellers. They've been doing this since 2017. It is a really cool tool doing some things that I'm unaware of anyone else doing. So the pricing starts at $15. Like I said, get your 2-month trial at silentjim.com/numbers.
the next level is strategy, and then the next level is teamwork. And I just keep that before me. Like when I'm like, oh my goodness, I know what. Okay, hustle. That's okay because we're going to the strategy, and then we're going to go to the teamwork, Cynthia. So I don't want to ship another. Nope, come on. So
that sounds really smart. I honestly don't remember saying that, but I completely agree with myself. And because I call that hustle mode. That that's the period of intense, focused effort.
Yes,
where a lot of people don't have what it takes to. And typically, the people who kind of get frustrated, the thing that solves that period of intense, focused effort and helps them keep going is surround yourself with other people on the same journey or who are a few steps ahead of you. Don't do this alone. That's when you're in hustle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you start to move into, okay, I got some rolling momentum here. Let's fix some leaks in the boat. Let's talk strategy. Is there a piece of software that can speed this process up? I don't want to be just running on a treadmill anymore because it's not necessary. What I'm doing is working. Let's build systems. And then you start building your team out and you start stepping back and looking at this machine kind of running while you sleep. And it's a thing to behold. Oh, it's beautiful. And you're well on your way. You're probably somewhere in between that, initial intense focused effort and starting to think systems.
Yes. Yep. That's exactly where I am. But now, mind you, I am strategic. So I start implementing systems. I believe in at the well, I didn't know what systems to implement.
But you were looking for
yes, outside of what my coach was talking to me about. And so I implemented his systems. Mm-hmm. And so, and until I got a more knowledge with Amazon, and I could tweak those systems to fit me. So in the beginning, I just ran with his systems, which worked for me because we were both the same type of personality. So that worked for me. His work ethic and all of that. Yeah. So, yeah. So it's been a ride. It's been a ride.
Let's make sure we're thorough with our numbers. Let's make sure we're thorough because you talked about you've hit 50,000. What is your overall net margin from that, and how much work have you put into that? And
okay, so I want to make sure that I'm clear. I hit 50 total sales, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, not 50
for
a month. Not yet.
Yeah, you're not at 50,000 a month yet. Yeah, that would have put you in the elite top fraction of a percent of all time performances, which I didn't think we were talking about that. But you are not far from that because the journey from 0 to 10,000 is the most intense.
Mm-hmm.
10 to 30 a month is a little easier. Then the stages after that are significantly easier. 30 to 50 a month, 50 to 100 a month. The trip from 30,000 a month to 100,000 a month really is nothing compared to the journey from 0 to 10.
Get it? Yes.
Because if you can do the 0 to 10, you can systemize and teamwork your way up to beautiful stuff. It's just those first few steps of the journey that tend to get most people.
Yes. So are we in May?
We're in June. We're in June 7th now. Yeah. As we record this, June 7th, 2023.
I know. Wow.
It's
so
flying.
last month I did 16.5 in sales.
Beautiful.
And I had a 46.21% ROI and 17.39 net profit. So, yeah, so that was an extra $228, of course, minus my expenses. So I think I walked away because I had last month. I brought on Jeff Schick. I brought on Ashley for the insurance. I
Mhm.
put all of those
Those
things in
one-time
place.
things you gotta, yeah, as you start to
Yep,
grow.
yep, yep. I put all of those in place. So I think I have to look at my notebook and stuff downstairs, my booklet. But I think I walked away with 2,200, 2,300.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're
So
around
yeah,
2,000 in the bank to
yep,
show
yep,
for last month,
yeah, yeah. I
which
mean,
that's
I'll take.
proof of concept. You're doing it from home, flexible hours. You can be there with your
Yeah.
kids while you're doing this thing, and you kind of fit it around. You haven't really emphasized that, but this is a business model that fits into the cracks of your schedule, so you can
Oh my
be where you
goodness,
need to
yes.
be when you got to be there.
Yes, yes, which is very important. I know you always talk about bringing the dads home, but I would like to bring the single parents home,
Bring
right?
mom home.
The solo
Mhm,
moms home, the
mhm.
solo dads home. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, because it is a lot. Is a lot. When I shut the doors for my studio, I was like, okay, well, let me go back to corporate because I come from corporate and I just opened up my hair studio for about 10 years or so. And I said, okay, well, let me try to go back to corporate. And it just wasn't possible being the only parent. My husband and I, we used to, have each other's back. You go
yeah,
and then the kid with the kids. So I don't have
mhm,
that. And so I
yeah,
have to be more strategic. It's a
yeah,
lot. And the single
yeah.
parents out there, solo parents out there, you know exactly what I mean. And then my oldest, he is high functioning autistic. And so
Are
finding a
you
school,
kidding?
it was a lot. It was a lot. So
You've
I
got a
tried to do the
special
quote.
needs kid too.
Hmm. Yeah.
God bless you,
So,
mama. But Cynthia,
thank
just time out for a second. If you
Okay.
ever need anything, you have my personal cell because we were texting before. You let me know. We're
Okay.
not going to let you slip behind on this. You are going to be a story, if nothing else, of just incredible because I'm very vested now in making sure that you get what you need to make this happen.
Okay.
I want you on stage. I want you sharing your story boldly and maybe a book, who knows? But this is the start of something special. And yeah, this community is just
I
going to fall
appreciate
in
that.
love with you. You're going to have people reaching out to you, just loving on you. I love
I
it.
appreciate that. I receive all the love, especially coming from a rough, rough, rough 3 years. So
Mhm.
I receive all of that, and I thank you. That's yeah, yeah.
Well, dude,
I'm grateful for it.
I'm
Thank you.
proud of you. This is one of those
Thank you.
stories that I do every episode I do. I enjoy it. I get to know if someone, and there's something about this leadership business building journey that's just inspirational, no matter what stage someone's at. But from time to time, I get someone who I can just envision the impact they're having done hundreds of these episodes. I know the kind of feedback we're going to get where you are destroying some people's excuses right now. They're blaming everything except the person in the mirror. And what you're going to do is force them to look in the mirror and go, okay, well, look what she did. She's got a high
Mhm.
functioning autistic child doing this by herself with 3 kids, lost her husband just a few years ago. She should be curled up in a ball somewhere, having her family help her. And your
Definitely should
family's
be.
helping you and loving you. And I'm sure all that things happen.
Yeah,
But no, you're in go mode. You're in full forward focused growth mode.
yeah,
Look at you.
yeah.
It's incredible. You put $2,000 in the bank last month, and that's just ramping up. You
That's
know,
just ramping up.
it's
And I really do believe that we're ramping up, and it's so interesting because when I came across the silent sales machine group and all of this, and I just said, And once you start listening, and those who are listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When we listening to the podcast, we're thinking about, I wonder if one day I'll be on the podcast, and I would say, I wonder what I would say. And you just reminded me of something that I said if I ever was on a podcast with you, that I would say, the momentum that you see me having is because I've been waiting at the start line for 3 years for the opportunity and for the Lord to say, okay, now go. And
Mhm,
so that's why I have taken off because
mhm.
I was waiting, right? And while I was waiting, I was also preparing, my business credit and all of that, right? And so when the opportunity came along, and I'm just so grateful to God that I'm able to take off, right? Because when during that season, I couldn't do a lot, but the stuff that I could do, I did. And so now I'm able to make purchases and all those type of things. And I don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, I can only spend this much or I can only do this much, because while I was at the starting gate, right, I was also working on some things so that when the opportunity came along, I could take off. And yeah, so I'm just
Another beautiful example, Cynthia. You
I'm
just
grateful.
illustrated beautifully the slow and steady wins the race. You are a safer bet than so many other people. Like if you were a stock, I'd be buying it. You've heard me maybe say that before, because you
I've
recognize
heard.
those. You recognize those. Like the mindset has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
The determination
Oh
has to be
yeah.
there. The full recognition that anything worth doing in life requires blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice, time,
Yeah.
effort, energy, relationships, patience, like anything worth having. Forrest Gump is a fiction movie, guys. Like that's not how the world works. You don't just accidentally trip your way into, oops, look, I just made a few $1 million with that. Oops, I made a few million with that. That's not how the world works. It's a great movie. I enjoyed it, but that's not how
Yeah.
business works for anyone ever. It's a lot of work and effort and energy, and it's slowly chipping away at those things and working on yourself at every step of the way, becoming a better person and recognizing the season you're in. Like you said so brilliantly just now, Cynthia, I was in a season where all I could do was kind of prepare myself for what was coming next. I couldn't do, I could only prepare.
What I wanted to, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't there yet. And so I'm loving just the authenticity of your story. The transparency is maybe my favorite word. And I like transparency better than authenticity, because sometimes we don't even know when we're being authentic or not ourselves. But transparent, just tell it like it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
This is what I felt while it was happening. And here's where I am now. That's transparency. And I love it. Thank you for sharing all these details.
During the podcast, of course, right? We've heard of course, all of us know we've heard from Oscar, right? So I watched his podcast. I've also watched, again, like I said, I went back and watched some of the conferences from 2021 and 22 and all of that. Oh, wait, what's Leigha? Is that her name? Leigha and
Modlin,
Jessica.
The OA Simplified, Leigha and Jessica.
Decker. Yeah. And Ted Newman, I enjoyed his, and I'm bringing those up because I feel like I'm their little child, a mixture of them, and I've just taken off because I've pulled nuggets from all of them, and it has truly helped me. It has truly helped me to stay the course, especially when those days like, oh my goodness, this is all I've made. This is all, and just to know that's fine for here, but just know that there's more, and so. You need that around you. I don't have the coaching yet for the next level. I do plan on doing the coaching because I am a hard worker, but I'm learning. I don't want to work hard. I am a hard worker. I've been a hard worker all my life. I've come from hardworking people, but I'm just in that I want to work smarter, not harder. And so
build systems.
That's what. Yes. And so that's how I built my systems. Of course, as I go along, those systems will get more linear and just better and better. But now I am able to, in the beginning, my packages prep, ship, and all of that took a long time. Now I'm able to because I've had systems. I have SOPs and all of that typed up and all of that. So it helps me too, because when I'm mommying and I have 3 little ones, it's mommy, and now I have to ship something out and I'm thinking like, okay, now what's the next step? I don't have to. All I got to do is read or remember from my SOP, and that's like step 1 is this, step 2 is this. So that has really helped me. Just those systems in place, and just focusing on that the margins, right? Knowing your numbers. Mm-hmm. We do get so caught up sometimes with, I want to make 10K, I want to make 5K, I want to make. But you just like you drill into it, know your numbers, because in the beginning, I was just going, right? And you might look at my numbers and say, "Oh, look at you, you're selling a lot." But my margins were low. Oh my goodness. And so for me to get into this business, I needed to know, is this worth my time? And so I said, okay, we're going to give it our all. And I need to know if this worth my time. I have to take care of 3 children. Is this worth my time? And so that's why when I took off, as I'm going along, I'm listening to, okay, Oscar said, he does, when he wakes up every day, he opens up seller board and Seller Central, and he's printing off his reports. And so I started doing that. I wanted to see what my reports are so I can know my numbers. What's my stock levels? What's that? So I did that. It was also one podcast where you were talking about on Seller Central going into your business reports, fulfillment reports. I started doing that. I learned how to do that now. Now I can do that like the back of my hand. Leigha, how she was saying, oh my goodness, that was just like a light bulb moment for me when she said, not only does she go by the reviews for a product, so you can get on a listing and you see, okay, well, which one of the variations am I going to jump on? And so sometimes you may go by a review and then you get on that listing and your product is not selling. And so listening to one of the moments that she was speaking in the OA Simplified course, which is awesome, by the way, she was saying that
it's included in the Proven Amazon course too, by the way, now, which is just another added module.
Another.
Yeah. I love where you're going with this. Yeah. Looking at the reviews. Go ahead.
Yeah. And she was saying that she, of course, you can look at the reviews, but she looks at the seller count. She wants to know, is that seller count rising? I think it was Jessica or was it Robin? When somebody said it should look like a party that's going on, like they're doing the wave.
That sounds like a Leigha thing, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Like they're doing the wave. And so that moment alone helped me so much because I was wondering because I had jumped on a listing and it had the keeper said it was dropping a lot. I don't know, 80, 50, 60, something like that. And I sent in my test and it wasn't moving. I'm like, what is going on here? And I just got into OA Simplified, listening to them. And she just mentioned as she's going along the course, these are those nuggets that if you have an ear to ear, it can help you. And so she was just mentioning, oh yeah, I look at the seller count as well. That helped me. Ever since then, the variations I jump on now, my product is moving because now I'm matching the movement of the sellers. Because if they're not going on and off, then they're just stagnant.
That's right. That's
and
right.
your product, your inventory is stagnant. So of course, now mind you, it depends on, if you want to sell often or if you want to wait on it to sell. But I like to keep my money moving so that I can get more drops into the account and to just spend that inventory. So, make more sales daily. So that's just
the
me.
Velocity.
Of course, yes, the velocity.
You'll go a lot further with a slightly lower margin at high velocity than a higher margin at slow velocity. In general, most people don't have the mathematical ability, the instincts built in to calculate the difference between, say, making 10% monthly on fast moving inventory that you're flipping constantly, right? You're flipping through it constantly versus, say, 25%, but it's moving considerably slower. Most of us don't have the mathematical ability to do that. Just as a general rule, though, you're far better off keeping the money moving. You're going to come out so much further ahead, flipping that money at slightly lower margins, but it's moving. Just as a general rule. Yeah, the velocity of your inventory is very important. So when in doubt, like, man, that sat there for a while. When in doubt, turn it into cash and put it back to work somewhere else. Don't wait for that big sale someday. And especially in light of, the long-term storage fees that you're going to get at Amazon if you let stuff sit there. So if it's sat there for a month, you need to do something about it. It's kind of a good general rule for anything that you're testing. Yeah. Love it. Great insights. Great insights.
Yes.
You're on a leadership journey here. You recognize that, right, Cynthia?
No. No.
You are.
No, yes.
You absolutely are. You absolutely are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best leaders don't even recognize it in themselves. And so that just makes you even more qualified. What am I doing here leading? Yeah, that's the leaders we need. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I just love Keepa. Keepa. I was actually came across Keepa before finding your podcast. And it was just, of course, with the coach, he was doing some calls. And one of the guys on the calls that he had mentioned about Keepa, and he went through the product finder portion and all that. And it just piqued my interest. And he was just going just briefly overview of it and what it's capable of. And it piqued my interest. But of course, it wasn't a course. It was just a little Zoom meeting. And so I couldn't do anything else unless I wanted to go through, hundreds of YouTube videos, which sometimes that's fine. But when you want to just sit and learn, that's another reason for I love coming across the pack course, because now I was able to sit there and learn from Keepa 1, and I purchased 2, but I'm not for sure if 2 is included in pack now, but I had
It's
purchased
being added
2.
here within the next few days. The advanced
Okay.
Keepa sourcing 2.0 with Brian Olson and Robin Joy. Yeah, that's so as people hear this episode, it's part of the Proven Amazon course. For people who don't know what we're talking about, you can go to provenamazoncourse.com/Keepa, Keepa. That's our advanced Amazon training. It's part of the Proven Amazon course now, as you're hearing this. And if the people don't know what Keepa is, Cynthia, I just want to send them back to podcast episode 369. Go listen to that episode. It's old at this point. It's been a while, but I could record it today. It would be as accurate today as it was when I recorded it. Fantastic insight into why we talk about that one particular tool so much, Keepa. All the time we're talking Keepa in this community, and they do some stuff that no one else does.
Yes, yes. And just going through that course with Brian and his wife, Robin, and even going back again, I know I keep mentioning it, but even going back to the conferences, it was 21 or 22, Brian did, I guess this is when he was first talking about Keepa, and he did a session at one of the conferences, and that had gems in it as well. And oh my goodness, I just love Keepa. And just to be able to sit and learn and go through each one of those advanced steps. And oh my goodness, it has made a world of difference within my business. And just knowing, okay, here's the drops, the offers, the data, product finder. Product finder is one of the ways that I find most of my replans. And I do replans. I also do some seasonal, and I also do, I think they would be called one-offs. That are
the clearance items, or the $20 bills sitting on the clearance aisle kind of stuff. There's some money there. Don't walk past it. That's fine. Grab it.
Yes, but my focus is definitely replans, because again, I'm looking for sustainability, and and I don't want to chase all the time. I'm not looking to chase. I have to chase 3 kids. I'm not.
You don't want to chase inventory. That's a good line. That's a really good line. That's a highlight. Yeah.
So yes, the product finder. So one of the ways that I use it is, I was trying to figure out how can I look through using UPCs, of course, not only to just bring up but also to rabbit trail off of those. So like I have a wholesale distributor account that I had from the beginning just by Googling wholesale grocer in my area. And I just, made an account with them. I have my reseller license and not resell. Yeah, resell
certificates.
Yes. I have all of that. But it's so much. The catalog is so much. And so one of the things that I heard from Ed on his program with you, the podcast with you, is he was saying that he uses TA for looking at searching those UPCs, and you were just encouraging him to dig deeper, not only that the UPCs, but also just use it, those brands, and just rabbit trail, right? And so I don't have TA. So I was like, okay, well, how can I do this? And I end up being able to do it with Keepa in the product finder portion, where you can upload UPCs or ASINs, and Keepa will match it, pair it up with the UPCs. And so, oh my goodness, this has made a world of difference. And I just using the knowledge from Brian and Robin's course, how to make this information work for me, because I don't want to see thousands of things. I want to see something that's selling, if it's groceries, I want to see 50K or below, or let me see the $25 products. Let me see. I just love being able to tell Keepa what to shoot me out. And so now what I do is I will take those information and I will highlight what I need to see in order to make a decision whether I want to look at this a little bit more. So I'm looking at the 90-day. I want to know, has it been stable? right? Because you can look at something, you see that a lot where people will say, oh my goodness, I jumped on something and it is tanked because we didn't go far enough to look and see if it's stable. It might look good today, but what did it look like, 60 days ago? What did it look
Mhm.
like 90 days ago? You might have jumped on and the prices spiked at that point. But it's just a spike. It's not the norm. Yeah. So just highlighting those things to me. And I want to look at, is Amazon on it? I do jump on some things that Amazon is on. Some of my products, some of my best products, I am on there with Amazon, and
Me
Amazon
too.
is allowing me the buy box. So as
Yeah,
long as
they
Amazon
rotate,
is,
or they sell out so often.
yep, yep,
Because
yep.
oftentimes people get freaked out when they see Amazon on an ASIN, like, oh, I don't want to be a seller selling against Amazon. But there's a lot of times where you're really smart to do that. If they're selling out at all, you see little gaps on Keepa, man, because what Amazon does is they went out and bought 10,000 units of this thing, and they're selling it cheaper than any of us, which drives that ASIN to the top of the ranks, which means when they finally do sell out, which happens, and they're going to have a little gap, maybe it's a week or two or whatever, that price is going to shoot up to where it's very friendly for the other resellers to be on that listing. And you can take
Yes.
advantage and time that out. And a lot of times, yeah, it's a waste of time to sell against Amazon, but there's plenty of times where it makes a lot of sense. And that was just one example. There's plenty of times where Amazon can't get it any cheaper than you can, and they're just another seller in the mix,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense
So
to just treat them like another seller.
yep. So I've learned that, and yeah. So the point is, I'm getting this information after I told Keepa this is what I'm looking for. I like to refer to Keepa as my VA because I don't have a VA right now. So I like to refer to Keepa as my VA. I'm getting these sources from Keepa. I'm
Mhm.
telling it what I'm looking for. It's shooting me out what I'm looking for. And now I just have to go through these lists based on my criteria. Is it stable? Just like Robin was talking about as far as the velocity. What's the
Mhm.
velocity looking like?
Mhm.
What's the pricing looking like?
Mhm.
So just those different things that I'm looking at. But I love being able to plug that into Keepa. And as far as the UPCs for my wholesaler or ASINs from other store, getting those ASINs from other sellers and putting
Mhm.
it in and putting it based on the criteria I'm looking for, and it's spitting out to me
That's
the
phenomenal.
information. Yeah, yeah.
And
So
is your wholesaler that you work with, do they have an online catalog of some kind that you can scroll
they
through?
do. Yep,
Because
they do.
what I want to send you, Cynthia, as a thank you today for being on the show, is access to our proven bot sourcing course.
I
Do you have
have it.
do
I
you have
have
it
it.
already? Well, you were on
Hmm.
top of the ball then. I owe you a credit. You hit me up. Okay, I'm going to take good care of you on something that you want
Okay.
that you don't have yet. So cash that in. But yeah, I think you're going to really enjoy,
Okay.
because it's only been out a few days. So I take it you're not a pro with it yet, but you're kind of
Yes.
going through it. But you're going to
Nope.
see
I'm going.
where, and you can comb through any retail website. It could be a wholesaler. It could be any site that has products and lists and prices and details, and just create a beautiful list that you can then
Yes.
do.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, whether it
I'm
be,
so excited about it.
yeah, it's the results that we're seeing are just blowing our socks off. And I love that
Hmm.
the community now, here just a few days ago we launched it, that so many people already are stepping in and discovering new ways and new strategies to use this. And the people we've shown it to initially have just flipped out. I mean, some of the names that you've mentioned, Leigha,
Hmm.
Leigha
Yep.
Modlin,
Yep.
she's one that's like,
Hmm.
this changes everything. And she's already got a
Yeah.
6-figure a month business, right?
Okay.
So anyway, it's good stuff. Provenbotsourcing.com. And we may be closing the gates on it soon. If you're listening to this podcast episode,
Mm.
get over to that website, because we might just close the door, serve the people who are in, take care of their questions rather than having a stream of new people constantly. We might shut the door for a while and then open it back up again later, probably at a significantly higher price too. But yeah, I'm so glad that you're in there, because you can turn that wholesale database that you have access to. And the other thought that into a list, to finish my thought there, you can turn it into a
Hmm.
nice, easy, searchable list. But the other thought I had was, you used to own a hair care salon, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any old contacts still from like your product sources, your sales reps, the people that, maybe there's some opportunities there to say, hey, I still need product, maybe some wholesale discount opportunities. I don't know, just to help you brainstorm.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
you've
will
already
look
thought of
into it.
that.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
good.
I thought about it, but I just didn't. I haven't went down that road, but definitely it's there. It's there that
Cool.
I
Because I
will look
bet there's some
into. Yeah.
opportunity there. Because remember, this is a relationship business, right?
Yes.
And if you've got those old relationships, you can just think through. And some of the people that I've known, like I'm 1 degree of separation. I've been with them at the same church forever. And it just finally occurred to me one day, I'm like, they're in a pretty
Mhm.
complementary business model. I should talk to them. And it turns into
Yeah.
this huge opportunity for both of us, right? Like I
Amazing.
own a franchise of a small hardware store because I know a
Mhm.
guy who could help me cut through the red tape. I don't actually own a physical hardware store, but I own the
Mhm.
access to the database as if I
Mm.
did, which
Okay.
was worth the franchise fees that this guy could help me walk through because that's what he does. Right.
Mhm.
So even though I don't have a brick and mortar operation, they made an exception for me because I sell a lot of that stuff online. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that was a
Yeah.
relationship. It was a conversation.
Mhm.